Greetings, magic makers. We are glad to have you here. The following is a clip taken from a workshop tech wizard Jonathan Stewart hosted with the Majik Media community January 27th, 2021. Jonathan tells us about Para, a system of organizing your files and all your electronic resources. We think you'll be amazed.
So hello and welcome to the first tech wizarding workshop here on Majik Media. And today we're going to be talking about a number of things. Something to look into if you're trying to work out your file storage systems is something called Para, which is projects, areas, resources, and archives. And it's a fairly flexible system for file storage, which you can just use no matter what platform you're on. Having your projects, having your tasks, having an area. So projects are kind of like short-term things that have an end date. An area is kind of like an area of responsibility, something that you're interested in, or like courses that you're taking. Those are areas. Resources are like things that you refer to sometimes, but not all the time. And then archives is a place for things you don't need to look at, but you don't necessarily want to delete. And they can move between the 4 folders. In fact, that's literally what I have. Do I have? Yes, I do. There we go. So for my Google Drive, it is literally set up exactly like that. So I have my Google Drive and I have my projects, my areas. You'll get there. There you go. My resources and my archives. Now I have some other bits and bobs here, but these here are like exactly what I like to see. And whenever I'm working on something for a client, whether it be literally for this wizard workshop that I just hosted, I stored the background image you can see here. I stored the music that was being played. That was in the background, ready to go. For me, when I have my podcast, I store that in this folder, and it gives me the flexibility. And because it is structured in a kind of 4 like sections, that's really good for how your brain works and how like it works for your brain to make sure that you can just keep it in a way that's really easy to understand, because otherwise you have this folder in here or over here or over there or over here, and you're just trying to find everything. So it's really good for multi-platform storage. So you can have your Para system in Notion, you can have your Para system in your Gmail account or your email account, you can have your Para system on your file storage, and no matter what it is, it's really easy to properly find things. And it's a really good system. I do have a couple of resources on Para which I can add to the recording of this, which kind of explains it in a little bit more detail, because that's a whole nother topic and a whole big deep dive to go into of figuring out what Para and what works for you. So yeah, that's projects, areas, resources, and archives. It was coined by and created by someone called Tiago Forte. It's not my idea. But it's a fantastic way. It can be really complicated or it can be really simple. It depends on how you want it to work. And as long as you define what a project is, what an area is, a resource for you, and just stick to it, it's beautiful. It's amazing. That's something that I do as part of outside of Majik Media, is help people find those ways of making your business just a little bit easier. So when you first get started on that, a really cool thing to do is there's 2 ways of managing that when you're first getting started. So you decide, okay, I like this Para thing he's talking about. Let me try it out. So literally on your Google Drive or what your main source of like storage will be, just create folder 1 with the number 1 dash projects, 2 dash areas, 3 dash resources, 4 dash archives. The reason why you had the numbers is so that it's always in order, because that's how you want to manage things, is you put it in the number order and you can always see that. And it's just, and then take absolutely everything and dump it in your archive. Now, an archive is not a bin. That's a common misconception. An archive is just a place to hold things. Then when you touch it, move it into a project. So if you're like, oh, where was that folder? You know, where were those videos or that PDF download that Jonathan gave me as part of the Course Junkies thing? Where's that gone? You'll go find it in your archive, then move it into your resource folder under Course Junkies, or your area as in Course Junkies. And so it's a kind of one-touch system. So instead of you having to try and sort through 5, 10, 15 years of stuff, you are starting from the beginning, and then as you start touching stuff, you bring it back in. Once you have to touch stuff, then you bring it into your projects, your areas, your resources, or your archive. And only then do you start having to manage things. And then you don't have to go through and stress yourself out with goodness knows how many gigabytes worth of space, which as a musician, I've been there.
Yeah, I have a lot of videos and music and photos.
Yeah. And so you can sort them into your Para system. And so music can be resources, because it's a resource that you listen to, and it can be used for everything. So areas, so that could be your personal. So inside of your personal area, you can have music you like listening to, videos you want to watch, you know, and you can separate it out as any way that makes your brain work, as long as you use the four kind of folders to start with. These workshops will be hosted once a month. So if you ever have any questions, and I'm always going to be here to help with tech problems.